Good morning, everybody. Doug Lane here, Fastlane Car Care. Hey, so I get some questions about the ceramic coating process, and a lot of questions about like why it's so much more expensive over like a wash and wax or a regular detail and stuff like that. So I have the opportunity to do that right now. I've got a car that I'm going to coat here, and not gonna show you every single start to finish because I don't have enough memory cards to make a time lapse that long. But I'm going to show you tidbits of the process the entire time, and I'm going to explain that to you. So let me flip you around here. So right now we got this Mustang GT 5-liter here. Sorry. It's going to get coated. You see we got some bird droppings there. So first step, we need to wash this entire car. Very much the same as any other vehicle. We need to get it clean first. And then what I do as part of my basic details is I clay bar every car. This car is going to be no exception. It's going to get clayed. It's even more important to have it completely contaminant free when you're coating, because the thing about ceramic is anything that's in the paint surface is going to be there for the next 5 years. So you're just sealing in everything. So any scratches, anything like that, you need to get them all taken care of, and you need to get everything, tar everything out of there, because once you put that ceramic on, it's in there for the next 5 years, guaranteed. So, same deal, wash it, clay it, and then we're gonna do paint correction. So once we get this into the light, he told me there's some scratches back here that we'll work on. Once we get it back into the light, because it's overcast and raining, get into the light, see what we got to deal with paint wise, polish it. It may be a 1-step, maybe a 2-step. It's got 2,500 miles on it, shouldn't be too bad. We should be able to just get it with a finishing polish, but like I said, we'll see. That's one of the things, that's really what you're paying for in the ceramic package, is all the prep work that goes into this. It's not like a wash and wax vac, or wash wax vac package where it's like it's X amount of dollars because it's going to take X amount of time. It depends. Every car is different as far as how much time it takes and the condition, and it also depends on the condition that you're okay with. You may have a car that you're like, well, I don't really care about the little tiny wash marks and stuff like that. I just want the added protection, and ceramic will help your car stay cleaner longer, and a lot of people are good with that. That's what they want, and so they're just like, just get it clean and coat it. Okay, well, that's a different price point than somebody that wants it to be as perfect as possibly can, that's protecting their brand new car, protecting their investment. So next step is wash it. I'll try to bring you along for a little bit of that. I'm going to do it a little bit different than I normally would, and so I'll show you that. And like I said, I'll just show you little bits of this the whole step of the way until we get to the finished final product. So hang tight, I'll see you in a minute. Hey everybody, I just wanted to point out something real quick. So this client, he asked me when he got this car, he said, hey, what should I use to wash this, take care of it? So I told him, I said, I sent him the link. So you gotta get this Garry Dean's Infinite Use Detail Juice. That's what I use. That's what I use on all my cars. And you get great protection, blah, 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 right? So the easiest way to tell if your car is still protected or not, as far as like wax or whatever, is to see if water beads up. I've not washed this yet. I've not done anything to it other than clean the wheels and tires. Got them all scrubbed up and everything. So I just want to point out, it's in the rain. The water's beating up on it beautifully. That says a lot about the products that I use. I have no idea if he's used a paste wax or liquid wax or anything like that. I'm gonna guess probably not, but maybe. But either way, that stuff works great. I'll put the link in here. I'll put on this video, I'll put the link to everything I use in this, minus the ceramic, because ceramic is something you really do not want to do yourself. It's really tricky. We'll talk about it here later on when we get to that step, but I just want to point that out real quick. I'm going to get back to it. See you in a little bit. All right, as you can see, I've used a foam cannon. This is one of the very few instances I would ever use a foam cannon. It's cool. It's about 40, I think the temperature said 45. It's about 45 degrees. It's drizzling rain off and on. Sorry. And so I don't have to worry about this drying out. I don't have to worry about it getting soap spots. If this is summertime, I just hate using foam cannons. I hate using the traditional wash method because what happens is your paint temperature is so hot and the sunlight is so hot, it tries to dry the soap out. You get soap marks, like soap spots, water spots, and it's just like a race. Like as soon as you put it on there, it's a race to get everything washed and get everything rinsed and somewhat dry before, you know, physics take its toll. And the problem with that is when you rush like that, you almost always end up missing something. So then when you're drying it, you're taking, you know, you hit that spot with your drying towel and you grind that dirt and dust across your paint. Create scratches, swirl marks, wash marks, whatever you want to call them. So that's why I don't really like to do that. I like to use a rinseless because I can just do each panel individually. I can really take my time and really make sure I get everything as clean as possible to mitigate those sorts of problems. But the benefit of doing this on a day like today is I can let this sit on here while I'm flapping my gums, talking to you guys. I can let this sit. It's going to break down some of that dust. It's going to help separate the bond. So then when I come across it with the microfiber, the soap is going to offer a ton of lubrication. That's really the only thing the soap actually does. So on a car like this, that's, you know, it's a pleasure vehicle, it doesn't get driven every day. It's not super like stuck on dirt. It's mainly just dust. So it's not going to be super hard to get off, but since I want to make sure there's no scratches and stuff like that in there, I don't want to put any more in it to make more work for myself. So I want that extra lubrication just to ensure I get a better final product. So with your daily drivers and stuff, not really a big deal, because if you ever go through a car wash with brushes, you've done more damage than I'll ever do with a rinseless wash. But since I had my foam cannon out, I just figured I would hit these other two as well. I'm not even, I don't know, I might run a towel across them. I may just spray them off. Neither, well, yeah, the 4Runner's pretty dirty, but the Civic's not, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to do this one first. This is what I'm getting paid to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the same method. I'm going to take my microfiber and I'm going to fold it into 4. So I've got 8 clean sides, and you know, I'll wash a section. And as it starts it, when it shows just even a little bit of dirt, then I'll flip to another clean side. I'll be able to do this whole car with one towel, no problems. And then once it's all been washed, I'll go ahead and rinse it off. I'll rinse these other 2 off, and then I'll roll this one in the garage, turn the heat on, and then we'll get started with the fun part: decontamination, paint correction, and then finally laying the sealant. So there you go. We'll see you guys shortly. Thing I hear quite often is people say, well, you know, I just got my car, it doesn't need clay barred, it doesn't need detailed, or, you know, whatever. And that's very much not the case, because these cars really typically, very rarely, I mean, unless it's a Viper or something really, really high end, they don't roll off the assembly line and onto a truck and into the dealership. A lot of times these cars will sit outside in holding lots, you know, for weeks at a time until they get shipped out. So that whole time they're outside, they're susceptible to the elements. Okay, then you get them to the car lot. They may sit there for another month or 2 before somebody buys them. So I've got my white piece of clay here. Again, this car only has 2,500 miles. We're going to do this section here. Let's see. So this is one of the good things about using the traditional wash method, and then also it being rainy outside, is that Mother Nature has provided me my own lubrication. So the thing to remember is we're not grinding this into the paint. We're just literally just letting it glide across. There's no real need to be aggressive in this step. And I can feel it just pulling just a little bit, so that's telling me that there is stuff in the paint surface. Again, this has been power washed. It's been soaked with soap. It's been hand washed and power washed a second time. And look, now obviously there's not as much as a car that hasn't been done in 2 or 3 years, but this is a 2,500 mile car, sits in the garage, doesn't get driven all the time, and there's still contaminants on this little section here. So the thing is, we could wax this and it wouldn't be a big deal. This much contamination is really not a big deal. But when you're coating it, the coating is made to stick to paint. It's not made to stick to contamination. And you know, what do we got here? Like maybe a foot by 8 inches? A foot by 8 inches, so whatever the square inches is on that. I'm not a math major, but not very much. So imagine doing this over the entire car, how much contamination we're going to pick off of it. And that's the importance of clay barring and the prep work that goes in. The prep work that goes into ceramic coating jobs. You really got to make sure it's as spotless as possible to get the maximum lifespan out of the coating. These coatings aren't cheap. You know, I was just roughing up the cost for what it costs me now to get another vial of my ceramic, right here. This little, I think it's 50 milliliters, which I think is roughly 4 ounces. Okay, the cost for me to get that now has halved over the years, but for what I pay now, I could get 4 gallons of the wax I use shipped to my door for the same price as that 4-ounce container. Okay, so it costs a lot more. You really want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your investment. So I'm going to get back to claying this, and then I'm going to show you guys some common mistakes that people often make when they dry their car. So I'll be right back. Hey everybody, how's it going? Doug Lane, Fast Lane Car Care. Common mistakes that people make when drying their car. As you can see, this car is wet. I've clayed it, I've washed it, clayed it. Now we're ready to dry it so we can start on our actual paint correction process. A couple different ways you can do it. This has a nice coat of sealant on it, so some people would just blow it off with the air hose or a leaf blower, and that does work. It's just very time consuming and loud, so I'm not going to use that as an example. Personally, in my experience, I just don't feel like it's worth the time. So my go-to waffle weave towel. I believe this is a 16 by 24. Don't get wrapped up on it, doesn't really matter. The nice thing is that this is waffle weave. So you can see it's woven in like a bunch of little squares. What's nice about this is it's extremely low pile, so it's not going to leave a bunch of lint behind. Like this one, this is a great big SUV drying towel. Got a little fuzzy in there. A little fuzzy. These towels just grab everything, but basically what makes a microfiber is that each one of these fibers is 1/60th the size of a human hair. So it would take 60 of these fibers to be the same thickness as one human hair. The downside of this is sometimes they will leave a little bit of lint behind. Usually not a big deal. These are the only thing I will use on glass. because of that reason there. Like, it sucks when you use one of these. It doesn't have to be this big, obviously, but you use a regular microfiber on glass, and then you look at it and you've got all these little fuzzies left behind. This is how we eliminate that. So the big common mistake that a lot of people make is, I'm going to go back over here. I'll do this side. So I'm just going to drag it across. The waffle weave's doing an awesome job. More so, I'm just pushing it. I'm not, like grinding it in there or anything. I'm just kind of scooping the water off. That's perfect. That's what we want. We will use a similar tactic with this towel. Let's just flop it on there, and let's just drag it. Okay. So as you can see, there's a couple little spots here of water. But you can probably also tell that there's some streaking on both sides. What some people will do is they'll just keep going back and forth over that to try to get that streaking away. And if you have any kind of anything dirt-wise that's been left behind in the washing process, that's how you're going to get your swirl marks, your wash marks, and stuff like that. Your very faint scratches that will usually look like a spider web in the light. That's how you get those, by excessive drying. See, a lot of people make a big deal about what wash method you use, whether it's a 1 bucket or 2 bucket or rinseless or whatever. And scratches are very, very rarely caused in the actual washing process. They are caused more so in the drying process. Like I said, from either being excessively dried or from stuff that gets left behind. Like, basically, you just want these puddles gone. There can be some streaks. It's not gonna, it's not gonna hurt anything. They're not gonna leave water spots if you have some streaks. That'll dry out fine. There won't be any trace of this, and it's it's good to go. By the time you get the rest of the car done, this won't even be here. Another little tip you can use to prevent scratches is, this is an excellent time to use a spray wax, because then you can go around here's a product I've been testing out, Turtle Wax Ice Seal and Shine. I'm not going to use it because I have to take it right back off because this car is getting ceramic coated, but just mist the panel and just do your thing. Follow the directions on the bottle. That will give it some lubrication, and then you're also adding protection back to your vehicle in the same step as you are drying it. So that's another easy way to avoid the common mistake of of getting your paint too dry and getting scratches and swirl marks in it in that way. So I'm gonna go around, do the rest of the vehicle, and then I'll bring you guys back for the paint correction, the fun part, the polishing part. See if we can make this thing shine. Alright folks, we're back. So at this point we have pre-rinsed, hand washed, rinsed again, final rinse, clay barred, dried the entire car, the glass, the wheels, everything is good to go. Now it's time for the fun part, almost, kind of. We need to inspect the paint very closely. So I've got the factory match touch-up paint for this car. So we need to go around the car. We need to look for any deeper scratches, like stuff that's not going to polish out. Plot twist, there isn't any on this car. And then rock chips, obviously, if they need to be filled in. Sometimes, like, it'll be a faint chip that it's not deep enough to use touch-up paint on. But also, like, it is what it is. So that's why, really, if you're going to get a ceramic coating, the best thing to do is, as soon as you get it coated. That way it's 100% pristine, and all that good stuff. So there shouldn't really be any issues with this one on this car. I've found a couple rock chips already, but let me just flip you around and see. So like right here, there's a little faint scratch. These Mustangs, I don't know what it is, but they do tend to get scratched up. Like, here's another one you can see. With this metallic paint, I don't know if it'll come up on camera very well, but there's a faint scratch that runs through there. This should polish out, not really a big deal. There's going to be a couple of them on here. See, right there we've got a rock chip, and that's just dust. You know, so we've got to go around this entire car very, very closely, very thoroughly. Right there's another chip. We'll just, you know, and how we'll fix these is we'll just put the smallest little dab of touch-up paint in there just to make it, you know, so you can't see it. There's another scratch right here on this one. Now, if you look over here, we can see some dust. This is the best part about the AutoFiber's Towel of the Month Club. I keep telling you guys about it. If you are a do-it-yourselfer at all, spend the, I think it's like 24 bucks, but you get a new towel every month. Like, this is a $5 towel. I would never buy this towel. I wouldn't spend my money on this towel, and I'll tell you why. It's really plush and fluffy. The only thing it's good for is removing dust. So right here, obviously, you know, it's just dust from floating around in the air. And it's gone. This thing will trap dust like nobody's business. But that's really all it's going to do. It doesn't do a very good job at removing spray wax, anything like that, because the piles, they're so long and fluffy that they just don't want to take wax off. They're all right if you're going to use spray wax, I should say, but liquid wax, like a paste wax, you'll never get it all off with one of these. But it works out really well in a situation like this. If you have a car that, you know, just stays in the garage, you want to get it ready to take out, you just need to knock some dust off of it, you know, a little quick detail or spray wax, something like that, and one of those works out pretty well. Or in this situation, as I'm working around the car, obviously there's going to be little particles that are going to, you know, fall. So before I ceramic coat an area, then, you know, just give it a quick wipe with that towel. It's not going to scratch anything, it's going to get all the dust off of it, and it's going to give me a better final end result, because there's not going to be little bits of dust or anything like that sealed into the coating. So now the next step, now that we've inspected it, and well, I'm going to inspect it more thoroughly when I get off the camera, will be to pick a polish and pad combination that I think would be suitable. And I don't really see like really any spider webbing or anything like too significant, so I'll probably just go with a finishing polish. It's got a little bit of, it's going to get a little bit of paint defect removal, but it's going to give a really nice, shiny, glossy finish, and that's really going to ice the cake when we seal that in there with the ceramic. It should look pretty good. So anytime, you know, if you guys are thinking about, you know, buying a polisher and doing all that stuff, you want to polish your car yourself, you need to get a couple of different pads. And what you'll do is, because every car has different clear coat, like different hardnesses, softnesses, and all that. Some are more finicky than others. You'll want to try like the least aggressive pad first and see if that's going to get you your results. What I will typically do is I'll find a nice flat spot and I'll run a masking tape line through there, and I'll work one area and then peel the tape and say, okay, well that looks, you know, yes, this looks good enough. Do the rest of the car. No, this doesn't look good enough. Okay, so then I'd come over here like on this side and I would try a little bit more aggressive polish or compound or whatever it's going to be. Peel the tape. Okay, so then you'll have your first pass. Your masking tape line will be the virgin bare uncorrected paint, and then your other side will be your second. And then if that's good enough, then, you know, you just make everything blend so you don't have any harsh lines, and you move on with the rest of the car. Now sometimes, if it's an older car, especially if it's had body work done, you may find that one combination works really well on, you know, 3/4 of the car. Then you get to like the front fender or something like that, and, you know, it doesn't, either doesn't work or it works too well, and you can risk burning through the paint that way. But so just, if you're going to do this yourself, buy a kit that has multiple pads. Get a couple of, you know, polishes or compounds. That way you've got the best one for you. And, you know, just be careful, because you can do some damage with a polisher if you don't know what you're doing. So without talking too much longer, I'm going to get ready, get the polisher out, make a pass, see what we can do, and I'll probably time lapse that, bring you along for it. So see you in a little bit. Alright everyone, we're back. We have now polished the entire car. Every painted surface has been polished. The rock chips have been touched up. They've been smoothed out and also polished again. Mirrors, you name it. So we're ready to put down our ceramic coating, right? Wrong. If this were only a year or 2 year coating, you might be able to get away with it. But this is a 5-year coating and we want it to last. It's a guarantee. And so we want it to last that full 5 years. When you have waxes or sealants, they always say up to however much, however long it is for longevity. And that's because the environment plays a big factor. How it's maintained plays a big factor. What you wash it with. You could put on a 1 month sealant, or a 1 year sealant, and depending on what you wash it with, mix your wash solution too strong and it burn it off and be done, and the first time you wash it. Ceramic is not like that. It is guaranteed to bond. If you do the prep work right, it will stay on there for years. So this one is, every coating is different. That is another thing that factors into price. What the coating is, how long it's supposed to last, the company you're getting it from. Everybody's got their own prices based on their own costs and all that sort of thing. So something to consider. You want to make sure whoever you're hiring, if it's not me, is doing the adequate prep. They're doing the steps correctly in order to get you the most out of your investment. So what we're going to do, this says Windex or window cleaner. It's not. It is partially window cleaner, but it also has isopropyl alcohol mixed in. So that's going to be my panel wipe. Now they make specific products called panel wipe. I've used them. It's pretty much, nothing fancy. Just another way for them to separate you from your money. All we need to do is remove any polishing residue. So after you wipe off the excess polish when you're done, there's often a slight haziness to it. And that's just residue that you didn't get off with the towel. So we're taking brand new, clean, AutoFiber Elite detailing towel, and we're just going to wipe this off. And what the isopropyl alcohol will do is it will break down any of the compound residue that could be left behind, and it should leave us with a streak-free, 100% clean surface. So, same thing. You just go around the entire rest of the car. Top, bottom, everywhere that's painted, everywhere that's getting coated is going to get wiped down. And that will ensure that when we go to put our ceramic down, it will bond to clean paint rather than bond to the polish residue that may be between the paint and the ceramic. So I'm not going to demonstrate that for the entire car, but we are very, very close. Very close. Party time! We are ready to lay the ceramic. We have degreased it. We've ensured that there is nothing on here that could prevent this ceramic from sticking. We got ourselves an applicator pad. This is relatively important because this is single use. Throw it away. The ceramic will harden in these fibers, and it'll be trashed by the time you're done with this car. Throw this away, or you can use it for tire dressing. So what we'll do. Before I get started, let me just say this. I'm not making this as a how-to for you to coat your car, and it's for this reason and this reason alone. I'm making this so you understand what it takes and what goes into this. I started this about 8 o'clock this morning, maybe just a touch before. It's now 4:40 4:49 p.m. No, I didn't, hammer through nonstop. I ate lunch today, and some other little stuff. So yeah, I could have gotten it done a little bit faster, but not much. It's still a lengthy process if you want to do it right. So we'll just, wipe this area off, make sure we don't have any dust or anything on there. And here's the deal. So when we go to put this on the pad and we go to lay our ceramic, we're going to have between 30 seconds and a minute, probably about 45 seconds at this temperature, to get it even before it starts to cure and harden. So what I mean by that is, like, when I go here, like say I start here and I'm going to go this way and back again or whatever, like this area where I first put the pad down is going to have the most ceramic content because that's the first place it touches, right? So I've got to make sure I even everything out, because if not, if this area is a little bit thicker, or any area for that matter is thicker than the rest, it's going to make the car just a slightly different color, and it'll stick out if you have a good attention to detail. So like I said, you have about 45 seconds to get this situated and get it perfect before it starts to cure. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a real treat if you end up having to wait for it to dry before you can polish it. So since this is a 9H since this is a 9H hardness coating, what that means is this coating is actually harder than the paint itself. It's harder than the paint itself, so if we get any high spots, thick spots, that we don't get in time, we don't even those out in time, we're going to have to wait until they cure, and then we're going to have to hit it with a really aggressive polish to even that out. So a coating won't make a car invincible. You still need to wash it, you still need to maintain it, but you don't have to wax it for 5 years. You're going to get that water beading effect for 5 years, and that's really nice. So like I told this client, what I do with mine, because my 4Runner's coated, is I just go through the touchless car wash, and I get the little super washer or whatever that has all the the poly shell triple shine is what they call it, and it's basically like a wax that they use. And I don't have any problem, so I'm going to put it on the applicator. Now this is the tricky part about it, man. Look, you probably can't even tell where it's at on camera. You got to be in just the right light. You got to know what you're looking for. And you got to get it all even. So other than that, it's really just like, using a coloring book. You're just, trying to keep it in the lines, trying to keep it all nice and neat and even. But now that it's go time to party, it's time for me to turn the camera off. Whoa, sorry about that. Turn the camera off, get the rest of this car done. That way it comes out flawless. So I'll see you guys a little bit later. I've got everything on the car coated except for this fender and the wheels, and I want to show you how you can tell this car's already been coated, because I think this is one thing that a lot of people are skeptical about, because you see coated cars on the internet, and really, unless you know for a fact they're coated, it's really hard to tell the difference. You don't really know if it's a wax or if it's this, that, or the other. Check this out. See how that towel just smooth glides right across. Let's come over here to the fender. You can't really see how much movement I have there. The towel wants to grab the fender. I mean, it's smooth paint as far as it's polished and imperfection free and all that. But this is like a layer of glass, man. It just makes it super smooth. In one finger, like the towel does not even. It really doesn't move. This towel just wants to grab. So I could obviously feel a difference with my hand, but I can't really think of any other way for you to convey, to convey to you guys out there the difference in smoothness and all that stuff. And this has only been maybe 10 minutes of hardening, so once this gets the full 24 hour cure, it's going to be even better yet. So stay tuned. I think there's going to be some more to this video. I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, it's done. Pulled it out earlier. It had a couple little high spots here and there. The tricky thing with metallics, especially in this gray, with the coating, I have so much light in the garage that it's almost kind of blinding. It's very difficult to see how thick you're getting it. The only time I ever notice any imperfections in a coating is when it's like a really overcast day. So earlier the sun was behind my tree, pulled it out, had just a couple little spots to touch up. Not a big deal. It's not 100% fully cured yet, so no problem. Take care of it now. Pulled it out again, looks good. Pull it out in the sun, look at it, see how it shines, and be ready to roll it back in the garage, give it a final wipe down, just get the dust off of it and all that, and it'll be ready for pickup. So I just want to bring you guys along. That's basically the full process, start to finish. I think, I don't remember how many hours I got in it today. It's gonna be right about 14 hours start to finish for me, one guy by myself. Like I said, it's could be done faster, and I don't charge by the hour. I don't bill by the hour, right? Like, it's a flat price. This is what it's gonna be. Okay, great. And that's what it is. If it takes me longer than I expect, oh well. If I get done sooner than I expect, oh well. So there you go, guys. Finished product. Look at that shine. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for watching.